Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we hit you with 2 to 3 interesting tech stories, something fun from the library, and get you on your way in 15 to 20 minutes every day, every week. Creation Station at broward.org comes right to us if you have any story ideas. Today, my guest is Miss Hayley from North Cluster Libraries, because Hayley does a way more than just one library. How are you doing, Miss Hayley?
I'm great. It's countdown to my vacation, so I'm especially
Excellent, excellent, excellent. You
excited.
going away for the holiday, or are you going to just stay home and
No, I'm
be
going
safe?
doing a staycation,
Good.
but just time away from work is
Yeah,
always
it's a very good
fun.
thing. Nice, good
Yeah.
work balance is desperate for everybody, right? How many
Yeah.
libraries are you doing now up there for programming?
Normally 12, which includes 2 regionals, but because of our situation down south, I've got 14 at the moment.
Yeah, and yeah, for anybody that's 14 different libraries and 2 regional libraries for Haley organizing programming. Anything in the north end of the county that gets put out by the library system, that's Haley. So you can thank her for all those. It's no, it's a huge job, and that's what we've been trying to feature. We last week we had Loria from the Central Cluster. We got Haley now, and we're going to have Sebastian next week to highlight all 3 of the programmers that take care of all of these thousands of programs that the library puts on every year. So, want to make sure everybody sees the behind the scenes people who are so important for us all too. And I've got a cool story to start us off. So this here is one of those really complicated or really easy stories, depending upon how you think about it. In for To make lenses, it's pretty expensive and it's a lot of work to do those. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why the Hubble telescope was wrong, because they misground the glass by a fraction of a millimeter. So these 2 guys in Israel came up with a way of creating new lenses, and you can see some of the pictures here on these, um, that defy gravity.
So that's the bit
And
I didn't really understand.
so, how they do it now, but their intention is to, in the future, be able to do this up in microgravity, up in space. But right now, what they do is they basically take the section of a tube. They fill it with an inert liquid, which means saline solution to the common person. And they inject the special gel that's going to create the lens on top of that. And because it's an inert liquid, it holds it up against gravity. So it's like it's floating without any gravity. It's just kind of like an example. You know about the Dead Sea. You know, it's got such a high salt content that you float in it. You can't really, go dive down in there. So it's that same kind of thing. They figured out. And one of the great things about this, besides just this, you know, brilliant moment of, oh wait, hey, if we got rid of the gravity, we could make lenses really cheap. Even the stuff for these things is so incredibly cheap. And I mean, and that's one of the really big things with this one is how many people out there in the world need some sort of corrective lenses, glasses, or anything like that. And even if you only make them for a couple dollars, that's way beyond what most people can do and what most countries can do.
So is the idea to make them in space, or
You
is it
could.
to simulate create a container that can simulate that and then make them locally?
It's
Because
right. Yeah, it looks just like this right here, where you've got the glass here that goes around. That's your petri dish kind of thing, holding it. And you can see, here's another picture right here that shows how it looks when the laser shoots through and hits that special fluid and it solidifies into the actual lens. So
that
you
is
can
quite
do this anywhere.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I thought the whole point was of doing this, because there's so many places in the world that don't have, opticians and
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the
facilities.
issues is
Yeah.
the only thing you need is that polymer that they use to actually make the lenses, water and salt to do it, and whatever size mold you need for your lenses. So you can do that super, super cheap and just use UV lighting on it to make it happen. It's crazy how super, super cheap. Um, the lamp used was $4. The polymer goes for $16 on Amazon, and you can get anywhere from 25 to 50 lenses out of one bottle.
Wow, that is pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah. They reduced the price down to pennies instead of dollars. And the anti-gravity thing, the space thing is because of telescopes and putting up, we did the Hubble and we had that mistake. We've got the James Webb telescope going up right now. It's going to go up by the end of the year, hopefully, maybe, or early January. And one of the big fears of that is it's got a big, huge mirror that's got to unfold. And if anything goes wrong while it's unfolding, then it mars the telescope. And now what do you do? How do you fix it? So,
Is that the telescope that's going to see beyond,
yes. Yep.
beyond, beyond?
Out there, out to the far distant past, into the distant parts of all the galaxies and universes.
So is this like, so they're still testing this, right? It's not
Well, they're
ready to
making
ship
they've used
anywhere.
it to do the actual lenses. They've made lenses with this. Now they're not at a mass production level yet. They can do it in the lab, on a one-off basis, but they haven't made it where it's a full manufacturing line.
Okay.
So, but it's just one of those. This is one of those small changes that in history that all of a sudden now everyone in the world will be able to afford corrective lenses instead of having to just do without.
Well, I think I also understood from the article that it wasn't just a question of being able to afford it, but being able to get it to areas that don't
Hmm.
have facilities that can make
Yeah,
glasses.
getting
So
all
I
getting the
think that,
glasses, getting the supplies to them and everything. I know it's crazy.
we take for granted our ability to, access glasses here.
Yeah,
I mean, most people that need them, they get tested when they're young, and they get help. But in a lot of the developing countries, that's not an
yeah,
option. And,
yeah.
and
Over
so
half the population of the planet. Yeah,
yeah, kids with, eyesight problems, they don't realize they have eyesight problems. They just learn to live with that and adapt their behavior.
yep. And
And
we're
it's
going to be
going to
able
be
to fix this.
hard at school
Yeah,
because I recently saw a documentary um, about some a rural school in Africa, in South Africa in particular. And, some of the kids, they didn't even realize that their problem was they couldn't see
yeah.
properly.
I know it's
Um,
crazy. It's crazy. We got another story for you here, Miss Haley. What did you have for dinner last week?
oh yes, of course I'm going to remember. This was a very interesting story for me because obviously I focus a lot on memory. In well, all of us in our jobs, we've got a lot to remember. And I've come up with this idea, sort of justification of why I can't remember. And it was kind of borderline of what the article says. And that is basically my brain is a filing room.
Hmm.
And, the older you get, the more memories and details you've had to store in that filing room. And when you have to recall it, it's not just a straight path. You have to go and sort through X number of
And
years.
jump around that box and trip over that pile of
Yep.
papers over
And
there.
it's
Yep.
probably messy because it's mine. And
Oh, it's
so,
definitely messy for everybody. But that's
so
what
yeah,
one of the gist of this article is following up right on that. It's your brain does do that as its filing system just gets clogged up. And if it tried to remember everything perfectly, it would just max out. There just wouldn't be any more room. And so your brain actually forgets things on purpose because it knows you don't need that information because it understands the example they use in the article. And as always, all the links to all the articles will be on the page for you. That the example they use are cookies. You don't have to remember exactly what kind of cookies they were. You just have to remember, oh, I had cookies. It was a good experience, and that's all your
The,
brain
the,
actually remembers.
the problem that I have with this is kind of the larger picture, in my opinion, is that, if it's acknowledged that memory isn't actually reliable for
Uh-huh.
a lot of detail, what, I mean, who
Yeah.
do we believe? I mean, what are we supposed to take from that? Because basically, you know, you don't know if someone's telling the truth and what is truth.
Right.
It opens up all these things for me.
Uh-huh.
Where do we go from that? There's nothing certain. Perhaps in the
Right.
past we assumed that memory could be accurate. For example,
Yeah.
if someone witnesses a crime, um, you know, one
Yeah.
person may
Actually,
not
somebody in
see
the
all
chat
the
just
details.
brought that up. Yeah. About eyewitness territory, eyewitness and stuff like that. There
Yeah.
is all witness testimony is and memory is all something that's always been subject to things. Plus the idea of um, how do you what is important to remember for you. And I think for where you're going with this, it's the group thing. It's that's what history is how the group understands what happened and how we interpret it. And that's just, kind of where we stand.
Well, I mean, when you say interpret, but it's essentially a perspective. It's a
Hmm.
perspective, and the perspective may not necessarily be accurate.
Right.
And in fact, now if you think about it, this means that there is no accurate,
No absolute
reliable
truth.
yeah, there isn't. There's
Yeah.
no reliable or absolute record of anything. And
Just math.
nowadays you can't well, in my opinion, math is interpretive, but anyway, because I don't understand it. But um, you can't rely on anything.
Yeah. Well, you
I
can, I
mean,
mean,
we really
and I think that that's where these articles see, and this is why we have these conversations, because this is where these articles start getting into, make us think about that. Think about what do you really want to remember? How will you record it? There's some really nice new holographic recording stuff about to happen where basically you can record everything that happened in a room and just store that like a memory and then bring it back and replay it like when you want to. But that's a long way off from being available to
yeah.
everybody again.
I mean, I started thinking about this whole concept of what is truth and what is real. Um, I think of my sister and I, we had the same upbringing, and yet when we talk about common incidents in our youth, we both remember different things about it.
Yeah. The
So,
different
and
pieces that were important for
yeah,
you versus important for her. Yeah. Those
yeah,
details.
it's really quite fascinating. So there is like no one person that has the full picture. We're
Exactly.
all just operating on sort of, bits and pieces,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily the same bits and pieces. And also, this made me think of the fact that knowing this should make us more tolerant of everyone around us,
We
because
would hope.
we're not perfect, and you can't be absolutely certain about
Yeah.
anything. So, it's good,
You just have to
good
make that good faith effort.
yeah, but you also have to realize that other people's input is
Hmm.
valuable,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they can fill in the bits that you don't necessarily remember or
That's
think
an
about.
interesting segue to our next one there, because that's exactly one of the things, this other story that we have today is all about doing therapy, using gaming as therapy. And here's an art one that you can listen to that Jose Cardana. He is a person who's, I'll show you the website where I found him from to lead me back to these things. And it's how you can actually accomplish reaching someone, getting someone to agree to things, and in this case, doing therapy and working with them to understand their side of things, to understand what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and help people work through some of those issues. And in this case, it's using video games as a method of doing that. I mean, this is something that's been in the news for a little while. This is another story from earlier in October. Same idea, same thing with all the stuff and how using the various gaming platforms and things work for you.
So
And
this
there's, yeah,
I,
bring
I
us.
found this interesting, but this is one of those sort of modern issues that I'm not quite sure where I stand on it, because some of the problems with using video gaming as therapy is, that it's done in the right manner
Yes.
and it doesn't open up the patient to becoming addicted to online gaming. And that is a
Yeah.
real
And that's what that
problem.
one article talked about with
Yeah.
addiction and that
I,
kind of stuff.
a couple of years ago, I was approached by someone that wanted to start an online gaming addiction support group. And at that point, there were very, very few places in this country or organizations that, addressed the issue. Whereas in China, I believe they have mandatory,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yep.
restrictions. Anyway, I did a quick search after reading that article, and I was amazed to see that now you've just got pages and pages of organizations committed to video gaming
Yeah.
addictions.
And I
I
think
think
one of
that
the
it's
important things with this too is I think where we're about to go with this is which games are you using and how are you using them?
yeah. I know there are a lot of advantages to using sort of like AI and maybe video games too for people with PTSD
Hmm.
that come out of the military, and I think that's a great idea. But I'm kind of a little bit I feel anxious about the fact that if people use these indiscriminately, it could lead to worse things than they're trying
Yeah.
to cure.
And that's the page that I have up here for everybody. It's letsplaytherapy.org. And they highlight the four games here: Animal Crossing, Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite, specifically for that reason, so that they're interactive. They're cooperative. You don't just get to do something. You're not isolating yourself inside the video game just like you would isolate yourself in the outside world or anything. And here's some free lessons, free ideas for parents or anyone to take a look at and see what they like about this. And then this company obviously has whole packages of things that you can use to work with to try and work through issues using video games or reach a better understanding of people. And they talk a lot about parents and kids, teens and tweens working together like this on these things.
Yeah, it's all very interesting, but like so many of the issues that we have today, who knows where it's going to go and how it's going to be abused.
Well, we hope it's not going to be abused. Let's be positive on that one. It's not going to be abused if people are following, just like anything, follow your doctor's directions and follow the prescription as prescribed, and everybody is going to be just fine. And we just have to hope everybody stays on label to use that term.
Okay, well, I guess that's your memory of it, your
Yeah.
interpretation. And
Yeah,
thank goodness we've got people with those that attitude, Bob.
I'm trying to be positive for you. We're going to try and make this work for people. The time just flew on by today. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Miss Haley.
right.
This is a lot of fun conversations. What's going on up there at North Regional and Northwest Regional? What do you got going
So
on?
we've got a lot of interesting things. I'll tell you about. We have some. We're still doing a lot of online programming, slowly starting up with in-person story time and in-person book discussions, which you can check out on our online calendar. But we've got on January 14th, we've got a caregivers support workshop, caregivers of patients with dementia, and this is a great course. It's 6 sessions.
Nice.
We've also got a series of 5 sessions of learning Raja Yoga meditation, and that starts in January, on January 8th.
And those are in
Jan
person or online?
those are online. The first two are online. Well, this one's online too. January 27th, we've got a infinite memory, time and mutability in speculative fiction. It's a
Oh, see,
panel
there you're
of
right in our target
science,
range right there.
a panel of science fiction authors, and they will be discussing time and mutability in speculative fiction. So that's January 27th from 5:30 to 6:30, and you can register online. And then lastly,
Broward.org/library/events. Come
yep,
on in.
lastly, I have to put a plug in for our Saturday, February 26th, Tell Your Story
Oh,
event.
that's gonna be fun.
And
Yeah.
that's a day of workshops, panel discussions for writers and anyone that's interested in improving their writing skills to get published.
Yeah,
So,
I saw the lineup for that one. That looks like a really great program. That'll be a lot of fun
yeah.
to go see that one.
And that's online. Actually, all of these I've picked are online, but we do have a lot of our regular programs
Yeah.
like story
Yeah,
time, book
like I said, all the story
discussions,
times
and
are coming back in January. Most of them are wrapping up right now, I think, right, for the holidays.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then they all come back
it's been
January, the
quiet.
first week of January again. So
Yep, yep,
it's gonna be
uh,
fun. Let me throw up our
absolutely.
final slide here for people. Thank you again, Miss Haley, for being here.
Thank
As
you.
always, if you want to see your favorite librarian or library featured, Creation Station at Broward.org. We'll see everybody next week. Stay safe.
Bye.